Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Virgo, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of August 2024. I hope you are well and happy birthday to all of those early Virgos out there. I also just want to say thank you for waiting for me. I appreciate it. Obviously I've been moving house. I am becoming settled, if not settled, and I appreciate your patience while I relocate. Thank you very much. So, what else do I have to tell you? There will be an extended at the end that you can access via links in the description box. You can do that via Vimeo, or you can come join my private community over on the Circle platform, which is the Order of the Phoenix. Anything else to say? No, I don't think so. Let's get straight on with what's going on with you. So, let's flip the camera around. Tell me what's going on with Virgo, please. Can I have 3 cards for Virgo? Oh, there's the first one. We have the Knight of Swords, sideways, in your recent past. What about current energy, please, for Virgo? Ta-da. We have the 2 of Cups. And what's coming towards Virgo, please, for August? Thank you. 3 of Swords sideways too. Don't panic about that. I think that's really quite interesting. Particularly since we have the 2 of Swords at the bottom of the deck. Now, whenever the 2 of Cups shows up, obviously we have an emphasis on relationships. And whether those are, intimate sexual relationships, business partnerships, friendships, familial relations with people in your family. It's how you relate to someone else. And this seems to be coming to the fore for you. As I said, in a myriad of different ways that it's possible. I find it interesting that this is on its side, and I find it interesting that the 2 of Swords is at the bottom of the deck too, because, and this is something that's been coming through quite a lot for the other signs that I've read for, there are shades of identity in everything that everyone is experiencing during this time. It's like, I think I described it in the Sagittarius reading as, was it Sagittarius? It might have been Sagittarius and also Leo readings too. There's this sense of one having expanded and like shedding a skin. It's sort of feeling into who we are now with the things that have happened, whatever those may be, in the recent past, but also historically, how we've processed that, how we're different, and who we actually are now. Because this 2 of Swords here is quite interesting. Generally, we talk about this in terms of, needing to make a decision, but not necessarily consulting all of the things that we have at our disposal to make that, right? Because the person in the 2 of Swords has usually got a blindfold on, got their back to the intuition, which is the moon and the water, the emotions, all of that kind of thing, right? It's making purely logical decisions. But the way that Anatorian has made this, has designed this card, we instead are kneeling on swords, which is a very uncomfortable position to be in, and swords represent the workings of the mind, communication, as does the Knight of Swords over there. How we process information, what information we are actually open to at any given point. But instead of holding the swords, she's holding masks, she's holding faces. And it's almost like, because you aren't quite as sure now about who you are versus what you were before, or what you thought you were, or something like that, there's a sense of, what does the world need from me in order for me to show up? But the fact that it's kneeling on the swords, I feel straight from the off, it's almost like the wrong way to approach this situation. Your true face is the one that is in the middle. It is not the mask that is on the left or on the right. Now, we all wear different hats depending on what situation we find ourselves in. I mean, that's true right across the board. You're not going to speak to your boss the same way that you speak to your best friend and whatnot. Relationships can be very much context dependent. But in each of these cases, I feel like it's how you feel comfortable showing up, what it is that you want to show to people. And there's this flicker of doubt that what is truly you, right at the center of your being, is something that anyone would be interested in, which is a really interesting place to start. Now we have swords flanking either side, this emotional card of the Two of Cups, again, intimacy, vulnerability, how you expose yourself to another, and whatnot. We're going to get into this in a second, but I think it's very sword heavy, this. And you being a Mercury ruled sign, as you are, it's not really a surprise that the swords are showing up, even though you are an earth sign. But Mercury is in retrograde over the course of August. So there is this sense of kind of going back over, revisiting what is the information that you have available to you at this time, and how is this informing your sense of self, your view of yourself, who you actually are. And are you ready to start putting that out there for other people to see? I think the answer is yes, but let's have a look. Tell me about the Knight of Swords, please. Why is the Knight of Swords here? We have the Page of Pentacles. We have the Star, and we have the Seven of Cups. Tell me about the Two of Cups. Death card. Oh, and the Fool. Interesting. Tell me about the Three of Swords on its side, please. Why is this here? Thank you. Six of Pentacles. And one more. King of Wands. I don't know if the camera's picking this up, but I have the most extraordinary goosebumps, and they're all over my body. They're on my legs, my arms, everything. Whew. Goodness. Right, what do we have at the bottom of the deck? We have strength. Let's put it there. We've got double Leo energy showing up here and here, and we do have quite a bit of stuff moving into Leo. Is Mercury in Leo at the moment, or is it already moved into Virgo? No, because it's retrograding in. Oh, I have no idea. I'll be honest, I am so out of the loop with the astrology and where it's sitting at the moment. I think it's probably best if I just don't really refer to it that much, because I wouldn't want to get anything wrong and have it skew the meaning of the readings. So the one thing that I do know for certain is that Mercury is in retrograde for almost the entirety of August, when you take the shadow period into account. And there's a revisiting of, as I was saying before, both what you wish to show to the world, and also what it is that you understand about yourself that you have to show to the world in the first instance. I'm going to try not to jump around too much, although it's very, very tempting to do so, and try and move through this chronologically so it makes some sort of sense. But I kind of wanting to jump all over the place. I'm going to not do that. So, Knight of Swords. Again, as I said before, it's a Gemini card. I didn't say that before, but I'm saying that now. It's a Gemini card, and it deals with communication. It deals with that which is expressed from one head to another. I think if from a sort of mimetic viewpoint, if you were looking for a card that would represent memeing, possibly the Knight of Swords might be it, right? Because it's this movement of an idea and a movement of information from one mind to another, or shifting information around in the different parts of your brain so that connections are made. Now, the fact that it's showing up sideways for me means that this is something that is lacking in some clarity for you at the moment. And we see that here with the Seven of Cups, right? There's an emotional obfuscation that's on the go at the moment, that's stopping you from being able to, or has stopped you from fully being able to understand who you are and what you bring to the table. Also, possibly, what direction would be the right one for you to start allowing yourself to emerge from where you are. There's this sense of, is this right? I don't know. I don't really know. I don't know how this is going to be received. And more importantly, I don't know how I am going to deal with it not being as well received as I would like it to be. We don't have the Knight of Swords in reverse, which would be an absolute closing down on the communication front. And also, by extension, we should say, the workings of the mind, the intelligence, the way that the way that ideas are formed and connections are made within the brain. The things that you say, the things that you hear when they run through a particular personal filter that you have that may be deeply emotional in nature, right? Where all of this is cloudy at the moment, know that it has its basis in the emotions that are sitting underneath it. it's through the sorting of emotions that the clarity will come, and I feel that's why, for, you know, this retrograde is probably coming at quite a good time for you. Now, I do know that we do have a lot of other planets in retrograde at the moment as well, so we're obviously not driving forwards, but we're trying to check our position in time and space, where we are right now. So if you have, like many other signs seem to be indicating they have, shed a skin or are in the process of shedding a skin right now, it's going to take a little while for you to catch up with how big you are now versus how big you were prior to the shedding. So that's the thing to bear in mind. So we don't have an absolute cutting down and cutting away of communication, shutting down of communication rather. We have it on its side. It doesn't really know how to progress. It doesn't really know how to put itself out there. It doesn't know how it will deal with things being received one way or another. I mean, for some of you, there might well have been a consideration of, what happens if it goes really well? I just don't know how I would deal with that, because then would that be me constructing a front? There seems to be a lot of confusion around the way that, around who you are, the way that you're perceived, and the way that then by extension you deal with what is being reflected back to you. We have the Page of Pentacles and the Star, and I really do feel like this is this kind of this push that has come from you know not where, to put yourself out there. You know, the Star often has an element of visibility to it because it's up there in the sky, it's for everybody to see. But the danger, the threat of showing up authentically when you're not sure how it will be received seems to be the thing that has you going around in circles a little bit here. Like the desire to start, to make some sort of move in that direction is very, very strong. And the Star is saying, well, I know that I have to expose myself. I know that I have to be vulnerable. I know that I have to be, in fact, fully open for people to accept me as who I am. And all of this is sort of pointing towards doubt that you have on some sort of level as to whether you fully accept yourself as you are. You know, there's a lot of mental energy around what you're probably picking up intuitively, which is that it is time for you to grow. It's time for you to expand. It's time for you to put yourself out there. And it's raking up from the past, or even from the present, actually, this emotional fog around what this looks like. It's almost like at this point, if somebody could hand you a step-by-step guide, you would feel much more comfortable about this process than the way you're trying to feel your way through it as things stand at the moment. I mean, this is your recent past, and this is where you are right now. Now, just straight off the bat, I'm gonna say, a really obvious connotation for this combination of cards is that you might possibly have met somebody new, right? That there is the awakenings of something that is happening within you, where there is a desire to achieve that level of intimacy with someone else, but it comes at a cost, and the cost is you cannot hide behind anything anymore. And it's this, I feel like a lot of where the fog is you sitting and thinking, how much of this is me? How much of this is a front that I've created? If I start pushing out past my comfort zone, is that by definition creating a front? Because my comfort zone's over here, and this is what I like, and this is what I know, and this maybe is what I am, and this is asking me to be something else, and I'm not entirely sure that I'm comfortable being something else, but I know that it's time to move. I know that it's time to progress on. You know, you have two major arcana cards that are underpinning this here, and whether or not this is you have met somebody new, there is something initiating here. There is a desire to reach out and find other people. And, with the way things are at the moment, it's not a surprise that we are looking around for those simple things that give us so much. But those simple things that give us so much are quite often the things that we are most terrified of, because we feel like they are the things that ask the most of us. They are the things that lead us to be wide open, to be vulnerable, to be exposed, and therefore the risk of being hurt is increased. And if it's one thing that you know very well, Virgo, it's how deep being hurt can run, how much it can take from you. So what I'm saying is, everything that you are feeling, whether it's a burgeoning new relationship, the possibility of a new relationship, or whether it is simply you trying to find your identity so that you can put it out there for other people, the Death card and the Fool is the universe playing a supportive role here for you. It is pushing you to evolve. It is pushing you to get yourself out there. I mean, I feel that there are trust issues that are showing up here, and possibly as a result of a little overactivity in the emotional stakes, or overactivity in the mental stakes too. Which would be entirely understandable given what it is that you have been through over the years and the time that it has taken to recover from that position. But as I was saying to another sign the other day, and I can't even remember who it was, when we think about our goals and our hopes and our dreams and our aspirations for the future, when we feel that drive that is knocking from somewhere very deep within us that's saying it's time to go, it's time to expand, it's time to move forwards, it's time to do something differently, it's time to get out of the comfort zone. What we often do is transpose who we are now into a future situation, right? And we load it with everything that we know from the past. So we know that if we're open and vulnerable, the possibility of getting hurt rises exponentially. There's this kind of inner conflict going on at all times. And the reality is, in order to go towards our highest hopes, goals, dreams, aspirations, all those kind of things, like, we ourselves must change to turn into the kind of person that has those experiences. And that is uncomfortable. By definition, it is uncomfortable because it requires us to leave our comfort zone. The Death card here is representing a transformation. In some ways, it could be representing an end of a situation whereby you have trust issues, you are not able to open yourself up fully, you do not feel comfortable being vulnerable, you don't feel comfortable opening yourself up to the possibility of more pain, more hurt in the future. But that is just like one of a million different timelines that it's possible to experience. And what I'm trying to say is, there's a judgment of future emotional states that is based wholly on what you have experienced before. And the Fool says that's inappropriate for moving forwards. I mean, what we've got here is the beginnings of a clean slate, Virgo. But why it's asking a lot of you is because you are the one who is required to wipe the slate clean. The Death card is here saying that, the Fool card is here saying that, around the idea of you and another, being seen by another, seeing another, trusting another. Like, everything that you've experienced in your life up until now has given you a myriad of reasons why this would not be a helpful thing for you to do. And yet the universe is saying this is exactly what you have to do. Give yourself the clean slate to expand out of here. And this absolutely could be extrapolated further to the relationship that you have with yourself, because quite frankly, the way that you see yourself is not, I think, who you are. It's a part of who you are. It's a historical foundation of who you are. But this push here from the universe is saying, like, this is not all that there is. And in order to experience what it is that you feel so very deeply needs to be part of your future experience, is going to require you to put aside everything that you think you know in favor of the potential of things being different. Now, we're talking a lot about romantic relationships, intimate relationships, sexual relationships, but this could actually play out in lots of different ways. I mean, there could be, family reunion here. Is there something coming together here that is going to require you to put the past to one side, forgive yourself, forgive other people, and wipe the slate clean? That's possible. Is it an old friendship that's coming back together? That's possible too. It could be business partners. Had you gone into business with someone, work colleagues or what have you? Did you get fucked over and now that's given you a certain kind of armor that you carry around with you? What the universe is saying is, whatever the situation is and whatever your defense mechanism, it is no longer now necessary, because you yourself have grown. The stuff that you've been through in the last 4 years, Virgo, has had more of effect on your strength than you are giving yourself credit for. As we say, when we're doing personal work, it's not about making your problems smaller, and it's not about making them go away. It is about expanding you so that these things now are less likely to pull the rug out from underneath you. You have to open yourself up to the possibility of pain for the potential of stuff that sits on the other side of that. I talked about this before, right? Sort of, the baseline of life being here. If you do not deviate too far away from that middle point, if nothing's ever too bad, the chances are you don't really have an appreciation of anything when it's really pretty good, right? Everything just live between these two very narrow lines here, this band. If you have experienced life right down here, as you crawl back up to that baseline, everything that happens beyond that feels magic. And your operating experience is now this big instead of this big. And it takes a certain amount of bravery to open yourself up to the possibility of both this, but also this. It's easy to stay within this comfort zone here, and you are being asked to push beyond it. Everything that you've experienced has given you the strength that you need. It has allowed you to grow. Bitten by something there. And now is the time to start adjusting to that possibility, I think. We move to what comes here in August. We have the King of Wands, which is a Leo card, and might well speak to the season, but I don't think that it does. We'll just throw it in there anyway. The Three of Swords for me is often a card of healing, particularly when it shows up in the reverse, such as this, right? But actually, this depiction that Anatorians put in, and there are two Three of Swords in this deck, I think really speaks to it. The fact that it's on its side like this feels like it's transitioning. It's transitioning from part of an internal truth that has been hitherto hidden away. Something that didn't really feel like you were comfortable in approaching it in any meaningful fashion, or sort of opening up to truths. It feels to me like it's turning to the point where you are, right? And the retrograde energy of Mercury during the month of August would certainly lend a hand to that. But what we've got here is a balance, right? The Six of Pentacles is the balancing force here, and that's very important. But I've talked about this card before, and I really like it because it does have that quality of looking back at one's life, looking past the swords and looking for the information. There's a feedback loop between your narrative of your history the narrative of your pain, the narrative even of your joy, right? And what you will allow yourself to experience in the future. If things have been hard for you at any point in your life, Virgo, that means things actually can be blissful. Not because the universe says that you deserve to have, a nicer time where things have been hard, but because your perspective has been altered so dramatically, right? You've gone from the baseline to down here. This has automatically unlocked all of that stuff up here. It really has. The retrograde energy of revisiting, reassessing, recontextualizing. Like, you take a word and you can stick the prefix re onto it. That's what this energy is all about. And Neptune's in retrograde, and Saturn's in retrograde, and Pluto's in retrograde, and what else is in retrograde? Something else is in retrograde as well, right? All of these motions are having us go back over what we think we know. This is particularly true with Mercury being in retrograde. What we think we know, what we think we understand, what our internal narrative is about something, what our external narrative is. What is your story? What do you tell to people? What is the feedback loop that you create for yourself over and over again with what it is that you focus on, with the way that you process your experiences? This is on the turn, and I think that that's really, really healthy. We have this pivot point here with the Six of Pentacles, which I really, really like. It's a Taurus card. It speaks to a grounding, where we've got a balance between the narrative up here and the actions that follow. The King of Wands is associated with bravery and courage and charisma and sexuality and all sorts of things, right? It's a fiery card. So think about everything of the order of fire. It would be about initiation. It would be about tenacity. It would indeed be about strength. What this is saying is that the only thing that is holding you back at this point is the way that you are projecting forwards what you think you can achieve versus what your experience has taught you you can achieve. If you are able to look at it properly and balance it in your head, it's not a question of which face you have to put on to show to the public, right? By that I mean just literally anybody who is not you. It's about putting both of those down and taking your knees off the swords and standing up. What we have here, this face devoid of features, is the blank slate. And the deeper meaning behind this is you choose what you show. It feels in some ways like, if you chose to see it this way, August could be a month that feels claustrophobic. Right? And I often wonder when I see animals in the state of shedding, whether what it is that causes that desire to shed. Right? And they're all like kind of squished up in this skin or this exoskeleton that they're existing within. Whether what it is a state of absolute claustrophobia that says, I can't stay in this skin anymore. I can't. I have to push. I have to flex so fucking hard that my literal skin is starting to split, and then I can climb out of it. But in reality, I think there's something going on here that is empowering beyond anything that you have ever experienced before. And it's not external. This is not external forces coming and forcing you to do this. It's actually coming from within, Virgo. The desire for bigger, for more, is being internally generated. And the only thing that's stopping you being able to step fully out of this skin is the fear that for a short period of time you're going to be exposed and vulnerable. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen I watched a time lapse of a tarantula shedding its skin once, or shedding its exoskeleton. Oh, fuck me, it looks like a ball ache, I'm not gonna lie. But in the first 24 hours after something with an exoskeleton sheds, So whether it's, I don't know, like, all right, we'll just go with spiders, right? Tarantulas, whatnot. It takes 24 hours for the new exoskeleton to harden up. In those 24 hours, they are more vulnerable than at any other point in their existence. But it's just a process that they have to go through. And provided they can get through that 24 hours, on the other side of it, they're bigger, they're bolder, they're stronger than they were before. And this process of this whole month is about recognizing that this is what is happening to you. You've outgrown a narrative. You've outgrown a particular narrative of self. You are so strong. You are so capable. You are so much more emotionally stable than you have ever been. It does not feel to me that there is much that legitimately you should be afraid of, particularly not if it's coming from your subconscious. Because the overwhelming message that seems to be coming is one of claustrophobia. It's like, get the fuck out of this particular exoskeleton, this particular skin. Let's push beyond. You're never really going to understand how strong you are until you force yourself to do something that feels incredibly fucking uncomfortable. And when you get the confirmation that you can do that, and it's fine, which comes through actually doing it and surviving the process, your conscious awareness of how strong you are has just hopped up a level. Your willingness to initiate something new has just hopped up a level. This month is really pivotal for you because it's drawing to an end the way that you deal with that Seven of Cups and that Knight of Swords. It's almost like you don't really know who you are at the moment because you're not giving yourself a chance to be that. August is about feeling into all of it. This is really interesting. I'm going to go over to the extended now. So if you'd like to join me there, you're very welcome to do so. Like I said, you can do it on Vimeo, you can do it on Circle. Like, the more uncomfortable August is, the bigger the growth. And there's no doubt in my mind about that at all. I often wonder if, in situations where I had a friend once who used to chain smoke to fuck like me, and she emigrated with her husband, and after she'd been away for about a year, she was involved in a terrible car accident, and she was actually in a coma for about 6 weeks. And when she came around, she had memory issues and whatnot. She forgot that she smoked. She had no idea that she smoked at all, and she was gobsmacked that she'd ever smoked, let alone to the extent that she did. And I often wonder in those sorts of situations, where there was something big that happens that takes away all of the subconscious stuff that led to a particular pattern of behaviour, that clean slate that we want would just be there. We just wiped the subconscious clean, or in your case, as it more likely is, accept that it happened, accept that there was a narrative that you held, and accept that things are now different. Everything is different, and it certainly will become more so the more you lean into this process. This is really interesting. Stick a pin in that everything is different, because I think we'll talk about that in the extended. So I shall leave it there. Know that I love you all very, very much. And again, thank you for waiting for me. Take care, and I'll see you soon.